but that is one of the big problems with the M2. Hi guys, and welcome back, and welcome to another video where today you join me with my BMW M2. You're probably thinking it looks quite a bit different. It does, because there is no front number plate on the car, but I'm going to be explaining exactly why in just a second. But first, in this video I'm going to be explaining the downsides of owning an M2. Obviously there is no proper downsides, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to be picking out small things, hate, dislike. It's all a bit of a in the same category. I don't hate or dislike this car. I'm basically picking out the things which are the down points of owning an M2. Let me explain what has happened with this front number plate situation. What has happened is the plate has basically fallen off. It generally fell off. So there is no front number plate on this car. It will be going back on today. Don't get me wrong, when I get the screws and get it straight back on, that is what will be happening. But in today's video, I'm gonna have to put it on the front windscreen, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not that annoying to look at. Don't get me wrong, it looks so good, doesn't it? I mean, the all stealthed out look, because we did modify this car a little bit and we sort of blacked out the grille, blacked out the badges, the wheel caps, etc. The no front number plate works so well, and so many people on my channel always say, you need to get that front number plate off. The laws in England, you cannot take this off. You have to have a front number plate. Wow, it totally transforms the car not having one. But let's not get too excited, because it is going to go straight back on. This is going to be quite a hard video for me to pick out the things I don't like. But we better get started, shouldn't we? Let's fire up the car. I love it how it just gets a little bit louder a couple of seconds after starting it up. So we might as well get straight to the point and get to point number one before we even go for a drive. So this is quite annoying. Basically, when you are reversing, I'm gonna go forwards quickly, so then you will see exactly what I mean. We'll put this car into reverse, just like this. Dum, dum. You'll hear the parking sensors are gonna come on, and this is quite an annoying part, right? Imagine if I just reverse straight into the back, bang! Right, okay, you can hear the parking sensors are fully on. If I go from reverse and put it into neutral, they're still on. If I put it into basically park, they're still on. There's nothing you can do to turn these off but to turn the engine off. There's nothing. They're not gonna go off. You have to turn the engine off to turn the parking sensors off, and this is probably getting quite annoying now. Okay, there you go. So here we go. I was actually quite reluctant to make this video. I wasn't quite sure, because I did one, well, it could have, what was that, like a year and a half ago? Crazy. With the Mercedes A45, which I've now sold, and I picked out the 5 things I disliked about that car. And the comment section was like, this guy doesn't appreciate anything he has, da 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 da, constant. But honestly, I genuinely do. Like, I appreciate everything I have, and I work so hard to get this car and the R8, etc. So yeah, before you think that is not the case, and we will move swiftly on if everyone is all being nice. The brakes on this car, as some of you might be aware, some of you might not be, they are not ceramics. And from what I've heard from a lot of M2 owners, I did do a little bit of research before I started this video, that was, if you are going to push this car to the limit in terms of around a track, on a driving road, they are not that good. For driving around town and what you need for this car on a daily basis, they're fine. But if you were going to take it and really push it to its full potential on a driving road, around a track, they seem to overheat, there seems to be a lot of brake fade, and they last like 2 or 3 laps. That in itself is not ideal, let's be honest. So I haven't had a proper chance to experience that, but that is one of the big problems with the M2, is the brakes. Moving on to the next point, and that is one which people probably are thinking is going to come up at this point, and that is the seats. Personally, I think they're seriously comfortable. Honestly, I think they're really comfortable, but I think to look at, it is a big downside in terms of the sportiness of an M2. They don't really make sense. If you think about an M3, an M4, and how those sort of kind of bucket seats look really, really cool, it's just a bit of a shame what they've done with these. they are comfortable, but they just don't look sporty. So that is definitely a downside. And from what I've heard from a lot of people I know, they haven't bought this car because of the seats. People are sometimes not buying it because they're like, well, the M4, M3 interior is better. And that is where there are a lot of rumours coming out in terms of the next M2 and what it's going to be in terms of the CS model. We don't really know when it's going to be. It's probably going to be this year. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it is going to happen. And that is potentially going to have the M4 engine in it. Rumours these are. I think that there have been spy shots and the M4 engine in it. And also the interior is just going to be better in general. On to the next point, and that is fake interior noise. Like exhaust noise, etc., coming through the speakers. It's not great, if I'm honest with you. It's not ideal. I mean, in terms of the driver, you're getting more of a sense of occasion, but it's not real. It's not real. So you're hearing, you're like, whoop, whoop, like making a really nice noise. If you stood outside, there's not that much going on. So that isn't great. And there are certain ways that you can sort of disconnect that, and that is an option. It doesn't cost very much. You get it all disconnected, and that is then gone, basically. Some people might like that. Don't get me wrong. Some people might like to feel like more is going on inside of the car. But for me, I'd rather know and hear exactly what is going on. Obviously, this is all going to change very quickly, because what I am going to do is I'm going to disconnect it. The Quicksilver exhaust system, I've had a lot of messages recently going, when is it going on? When is it going on? I believe we're roughly, I don't even think 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away from it all being fitted. And that is going to sound amazing anyway. The next point can happen to anyone very, very easily. And this nearly happened to me on numerous occasions. And that is the car rolling away from you and ending up in a hedge with you not in it. And this is because it's quite a complicated parking system when you're sort of putting it into park. It's not as simple. Let's say you came from an Audi or an A45 where you just press P. This is complicated. Because when I first drove an M2 a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, it nearly happened to me. And basically what I did is I was sort of a little bit confused, and I sort of stopped and I put it into neutral. And you might think, why would you put it into neutral and not put it into park? But I'll explain that bit in a minute. I didn't have the handbrake fully up, and I got out of the car and the car started going back, and I need to run after it, basically. Because what you do need to do is once you stop, you have to put the car into drive, which is, that doesn't sort of make sort of sense. You have to put the car into drive, then put the handbrake up, and then turn the engine off. And at that point, the car is then in park. What a lot of people do is when they stop, like I mentioned, they just put the car into neutral, which is because there's no sort of like direction in terms of what you have to do. First time users of this car, you just have to realize certain little things. And when you're in traffic, I use the handbrake sometimes when I'm in traffic, and any automatic car, because this is a DCT, I wouldn't do that. I genuinely wouldn't do that. But this sort of seems to roll back a little bit every time, and you have to be kind of on the ball. It's kind of a bit like driving a manual with this car being DCT when it's not. I've just pulled over and I'm nearly home, but what I'm going to quickly do before I make it home is I'm going to FaceTime a certain individual and get his opinion on what he doesn't like about the car. So let's do a quick FaceTime, shall we? Hi mate.
What is it?
What I was doing, because you know these 5 things I hate video, usually you get quite a lot of abuse. The comment section is usually quite full of you're unappreciative, etc. Yep. You got the same thing as me when I did my last one.
Yep.
So I want to be in it with you, so it's not just me, so we're in it together. Oh no. What do you hate about the car?
The driver.
So there we have it. I am now back and the M2 is all parked up. So they are the 5 different things I don't like about this car. Obviously I love it, it's an amazing car, and it wasn't actually very easy to pick out things I don't like about my dream daily driver, because it honestly is a dream to own this car. I walk downstairs and I sort of jump in it, and especially today, when it was looking especially good without the front number plate, I was like, That is amazing that that is my daily driver. Whenever I jump in this car, I never want to get out of it. It's so much fun. The rear wheel drive, the way it keeps you on your toes all the time, the comfort, everything about it. It is one mega car. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you all very soon.